Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about something a little bit different that I haven't really mentioned in the past, and something that I really didn't consider a whole lot before leaving for my thru hike on the Appalachian Trail, and that is inclement weather, or more specifically lightning. So I had thought about, sure, yeah, the rain will suck, and it might be cold or it might be really hot and things like that, but I never really thought about what to do in a lightning storm. So I want to go ahead and touch on that a little bit today. Just to tell you a little story from my experience with lightning on the trail, and something that y'all can probably learn from. One day, several of us were hiking from Carver Gap, which is like North Carolina-Tennessee border, and we were heading to Over Mountain Shelter for the night. And we hit Carver Gap around lunchtime or so, maybe a little bit later. And we started climbing up over the summits, and we got to a certain point and we were looking out and we kind of took our pictures there and everything, and I kind of noticed, I was like, there's a storm brewing in the background, and it probably should have dawned on me, like, yeah, you idiot, and it's not a good idea to be on these mountaintops with a storm coming, but had never really encountered any lightning up to this point. And we were all used to rain, so we were like, all right, we might get rained on a little bit, but we'll be at the shelter hopefully before too long. So we're still hiking along, kind of running the ridge, and we're just trucking, trying to get over the mountain because it was raining, and we were just ready to get down. And then we started hearing thunder, and then we were hiking even faster, and next thing I know, like kind of to the side but up ahead, I see a lightning bolt just strike. So we just heard the scariest lightning and saw the scariest lightning strike ever. Rega, how freaking scary was that?
I hate this!
It was so close. Mountain Goat, how was that? Mountain Goat felt his arms like clasped together, like he felt the lightning. He was like, quick, take out your foam pad, let's put it down, it'll act as an insulator, because he had read that, and he had also read about like getting in a lightning stance or lightning crouch, where you try to minimize the contact that your body has with the ground. So you kind of crouch and get on 2 feet and just kind of pull your body in close and kind of ball up. So we get on my sleeping pad and we start doing this, and I'm like, are you sure this works? And he's like, well, just until Rebel Yell and Riga catch up, like, let's do this, and just kind of like catch our breath, because we were both freaking out at this point. So we do that. Well, one of the things I noticed is water started pulling up on my sleeping pad, where he and I were like in the middle of it. It's dipping down, so we're like in standing water, and I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. So anyway, Riga and Rebel Yell caught up, and then we just like ran down the mountain to that next shelter where we finally took cover. But it was at least a mile down to the shelter, so we were pretty frantic and we were running. Now, I did some research afterwards and kind of busted the myth. I mean, you can read whatever you want to online, right? But from what I've read from the experts, it seems that nothing's really going to insulate your body from the earth if lightning decides to strike it. And also, of course, being in standing water is not a good idea. And then the lightning crouch, I've heard, doesn't really play much of an effect in helping you out. So as a last ditch effort, maybe you could do that. Like if you're freaking out and you're not going to move, sure, you could try it. So one of the big takeaways from this is, what do you do if you're on top of a mountain and a lightning storm, or any, you start seeing a storm heading your way? Well, you do like Arnold Schwarzenegger would do. You get down! I'm sorry, I just had to, but really, you should get down. About maybe a week later or so, this same crew, we were all hiking together, and we were about to come up over, a mountain, and we saw a storm brewing, and we're like, oh, we've been here before and we've done this, so we're gonna learn a lesson from it. Some people say it's dangerous to be in your tent during a lightning storm, but I challenge you to find me a thru hiker who is going to climb out of their tent during a lightning storm, unless of course they're out on a bald, out on a clearing, and they're sitting there with their tent being the highest thing out in this opening. But anyway, for the most part, if they're tucked in the woods, you're not going to get somebody to climb out of their tent. Now, a tent will offer you no protection from the lightning storm, but we were basically just trying to get out of the rain. So we all decided to set up our tent and just kind of sit around and wait out the storm. And then once it had passed, we decided we would night hike up over the mountain. So that's what we did. And I think that was a much safer option than, hiking up there during the lightning storm.
This is how you wait out a properly wait out a thunderstorm.
I will say one of the things that we could have probably done to make it a little bit smarter, since I've done more research in what to do during lightning storms while you're backpacking and hiking and things like that, We probably could have spaced our tents out a little bit further apart because, you know, that way the lightning doesn't strike and just kind of fry all of us, right? Had we been spread further apart, you know, that gives a higher chance that one of us will not get struck by lightning and can administer CPR if needed to somebody who has been struck by lightning. So what are the best ways to, you know, avoid being struck by lightning? Well, if you're just going on a day hike, check the weather. Check the weather before you go. Make sure it's not looking like it's going to storm, and if it is, just reschedule. Now, it's not uncommon for thunderstorms to sneak up on you in the mountains, and I don't know, I would say probably anywhere noon to 2, it's pretty common for these storms to start occurring. So if you could plan to not be on the summit or to, you know, start heading down from a summit around that time, it would probably be in your best interest. And if you know you have a car waiting on you and it starts storming, run to your car, you know, get there as quickly as possible. And instead of hunkering down, because as you're walking, you know, you've got one foot touching the ground at the time, so you're kind of minimizing your surface area and your contact with the earth. Now, if you're out on a section hike or you're through hiking, try to find a shelter to get in if at all possible. You know, avoid open areas like fields, meadows, clearings, balds. Try not to be in an area that's like sparsely covered in trees, because you know that one thing sticking up and just the openness can attract lightning. So it's better to be in a more dense forest. And then, like I said, you know, space yourself out from the trees. You don't want to be right next to a tree either, in case it does get struck. So as you're setting up camp for the night, you know, kind of think about these things. I mean, sure, it's beautiful to watch the sunrise and camp out on a bald, but make sure that, you know, you're not really expecting any bad weather throughout that night or the next morning. Other things to avoid, of course, are like metal fences or posts and standing pools of water. So you don't want to be out filtering your water as thunder and lightning are occurring around you. Now, what if somebody is struck by lightning and you're hiking with them? Well, from what I've read, like 90% or so of people who are struck by lightning survive. So, hey, that's good. The odds are ever in your favor. You need to go check on them. I've heard there's this myth where people think that if somebody's been struck by lightning, that means that they could still have it going through them and you could get, you know, electrocuted. What? Anyway, go check on them. You know, make sure they're breathing, make sure they have a pulse. You may need to start administering CPR on them. Burns can be treated with antibiotic ointment and bandages, but let's be real, just go ahead and call 911 and seek medical attention as soon as possible. Now, I'm not telling this to scare all of you into, oh my gosh, I can't go out on a section hike, or I can't go camping overnight or anything like that. I had one instance that likely could have been avoided over approximately 2,200 miles. One instance. So you just have to use your brain. You have to be aware of dangers that can exist and just kind of know how to prevent them, how to minimize impacts if you are already in the situation, and then how to deal with it if the worst case scenario happens. So don't let this scare you. Just use that thing on your shoulders for more than a hat rack. And before I go, I just want to say thank you to whoever has been supporting me through YouTube. Unfortunately, YouTube won't let me see who it is, so I just have to say a general thank you here. And then also, I found out from a donor through Facebook, so thank you, that you can support me through Facebook with no percentage taken out. Like, Facebook doesn't take anything out. So, and then as always, in show more below, you can see ways to support me hiking the PCT for no additional cost to you, especially by shopping through my Amazon link with the holidays coming up. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful, and we will see y'all next time. Okay, so I am here at Immaqualola State Park, and there's this nice little compartment overhead, so that's the opening, where you can put like a headlamp